Hey, this is Peg from Loves to Travel. Thanks for joining us. Today we have a special guest because you've asked for food recipes, and my son is going to make homemade miso soup, authentic from scratch. So I'm going to introduce my son, Andy. Andy, come on in.
Hello.
Yeah, here's Andy. So Andy is going to be making it.
So since this is miso soup, we'll obviously need miso paste. Specifically, this is white miso paste, and it will give us a nice clear texture on our soup. We have dried bonito flakes, and we're going to be using 2 packets of this today, which is dried fish flakes. We're going to be using dried seaweed. We're just going to rehydrate it. And these are all from our local Oriental market, and you'll find these at your local Oriental market as well. We also have some tofu from Trader Joe's, and Kombu Kelp, which is a dried Japanese kelp. And the first thing we're going to do is rehydrate this. And so we're going to take a couple sheets of this. And it depends on how much you're making. I'd say about 1 of these for 2 cups. So I'll use 2 sheets. And now we are going to rehydrate this with cold water. So we're going to let this sit in cold water for around 20 minutes to try to rehydrate the kombu. We want it to be nice and liquidated. So we're going to be cutting up tofu for this. And this is a personal preference on how much you want to use. So I'll probably use about this much here for 1 serving, and you can cut this as big or little as you want it. I'm going to make it little tiny cubes because that is what I prefer personally. And that will be the tofu for our soup.
All right, so now that our kelp is rehydrated, you can see it's nice and no longer dry. We're going to be using this to make dashi, which is the basis of the soup. Think in terms like chicken noodle soup, this is the chicken broth, but for the miso soup. So we're going to put this on extremely low heat. We do not want this to boil. We just want it to become warm, nice and simmer. So this might feel like it's taking a long time, but the entire point is we don't want to heat it too fast, or else the slime from the kombu is going to start coming off of it, and it's going to make your broth all slimy. You just want the flavor of the kombu. You don't want to extract everything, you just want a specific part of it. Okay, now that this is on a light simmer, it's not boiling as you can see, we can see a little steam coming off of it. We are going to add our bonito flakes. And we're just going to mix it once to get them all integrated into the broth.
Now this has been simmering for 10 to 12 minutes. We have as about 11 minutes. We're going to take this off the heat and we're going to strain it. And the first thing we're going to do is remove the kombu. So I'm going to use a wok ladle for this, but you can just use like a pair of chopsticks to lift it out. And make sure you get as much of the liquid off of this as you can, because you want all of that. That is the good stuff. So we're going to take that out. And next we're going to run this through a coffee strainer so we can make sure we get all the bonito flakes out of it. I'm going to wait for that to strain through real quick. Make sure all of it goes through. You can see the broth is already nice and clear. You get that nice green color from the kelp. And when you actually make this, you'll smell a nice fishy aroma from the bonito flakes. And that is exactly the difference between making this authentically and using store-bought boxes of, say, miso broth. So once this is all the way done, you have a nice, clear dashi broth. All right, so I washed the pot out so I can put this back in. And you can see even clearer in this pot, you can see the nice color. It has exactly the color we want. So I'm going to transfer this over to a jar because you can store this for a few months. And now that is your dashi. Okay, so now we're going to make a small serving of this miso soup. It's going to be about a cup and a half. So first things first, we're going to put the dashi broth into a pot. And now we're going to heat it up. And once this starts simmering, it is ready to add in. And this it does not matter what kind of heat you have it on, because the kelp is already out. We already have the flavor, so as long as you heat it up, it'll be fine.
Since we're waiting for that, if you're not yet subscribed to our channel, please do. We really do appreciate it. And also hit the bell notification button and the like button after the video is done.
Okay, so now that this is nice and heated up, we're going to use a strainer so we do not have large chunks of miso. And we're going to add our miso paste. This miso paste. And I'm going to use about half a spoonful for this serving. This all depends on your personal preference and what you want with the flavor. There's no exact measurement on this part. So we're going to put it in the strainer. And we're going to mix it in the water. And it should dissolve relatively fast. Our strainer is a little weird, so I have to tilt it a little bit to get all the water. Make sure it's nice and liquidated. And once all this paste is gone, it will be ready. You can look at a nice clear color. We can turn this off now. So now it's time to put in our dried seaweed. The dried seaweed. And I'm only going to put in like a little pinch because this actually will grow real fast in size. You want that to sit there and rehydrate. So I put the tofu we cut up earlier into this bowl, and I'm just going to pour the soup on top of it. You can look at that beautiful miso soup. You just have to stir it. You can see the dried seaweed has now rehydrated. And that is our miso soup. This has been Andy, and thanks for watching.